Now in step 2, we're going to build the wood shell, and I'm going to use the following approach. And again, you know, everything I show you are just ways how to do it. It's not that this is the only way. At one point you will see you will just develop your own workflow, how you're going to structure everything. So I'm going to create a sketch vertically along the mid side or the midpoint, because now from here, maybe let's say there, I can draw a line, maybe let's see 17 inches, that would be there. Okay, and maybe 18 inches. How much is that? So 3 degrees, 4 degrees. Okay, good. Nope, that one I don't want. Delete this one. There's a line artifact here, there. So these two lines I can turn into a construction. So the main reason is simply I can use this as a visual reference to see where maybe my wood shell could be. Maybe there, something. Okay, great. So basically I can now see how far maybe it should stick out, how far it should stick out to the back. And you see, if for example from here I draw a straight line down, I'm way in front of this point. So that means if maybe I go to here and draw a line up, that for example would be the maximum back. I could go, and these lines maybe I can pull this a little bit more to the back. So I can compare maybe how much I see there. Maybe do some more fine tuning. Okay, good. Okay, so with all those construction lines still in place, I go ahead and click spline. And I can zoom in and then use everything kind of like as a proportional reference. So maybe I click, I don't know, maybe here, maybe one there, and maybe one here. So okay, and then you see when with the spline it creates all those handles. I can press escape and then for example start maybe bending everything into shape. I make the handle here really small. Here, those handles, maybe like this, there. And this one maybe I move for the moment to there, so I can shorten this a little bit, so you see what I did. And maybe push it down onto here. This constraint I don't want. And now I'm going to turn off those bodies. So I simply see how low the ring is. And I'm moving these lines down. Kind of like this, maybe a little bit. So, which means here maybe this one I actually still have to move down. There, okay. Don't show me those. Okay, so you see like I'm kind of like playing the way how this whole spline flows. And maybe this backrest here, move to there. Just a little bit shorter, so I have a little bit of lumbar support, but don't let it push out too much, and see if maybe I can change something this way. Ooh, see this? That's because I have this constraint there, so those constraints you want not to be there. See now, everything is not connected. Okay, maybe like this. No, I don't really like it. So let's see what else we can do. Maybe like this. Okay, let's keep it. And now with the center spline defined, I can actually maybe go ahead and create a cross section that could be used to run actually along the spline. So I go to plane along path, click on this path, and for example move this one to the end there. And I'm going to do the following. I'm going to create a new sketch onto this one, and maybe I'm going to top view. And I cannot snap to the endpoint of the center spline I created. And as I mentioned before, we can, however, include those geometry points. So all I do is include this one. And then again, draw, for example, a line out. Maybe, let's say, should we say 8 inches? Okay, click and escape. Let's go into top view because I would like to see how much space I have. Okay. So maybe this one I rather make 9 inches. This is maybe going too tight because keep in mind there's also our pipe material. So maybe 8.5. Yeah, see, that actually looks maybe better. Good. Then I go to here and maybe go 1 inch out, click, and then I can do the same here. 8.5, click, and 1 inch, click. All these lines again I would like to be simple construction lines. And you see currently what I'm doing is basically working with dimensions so that, for example, if somebody has to rebuild something, they understand my thinking process. So what did I do actually those lines? Simply I have a high point, a low midpoint, and a high point. So I can use the spline, click, 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 and I'm good. See, not too complicated. Stop sketch, go to patch, go to loft, click this one, click this one. Oh, needs to be a center line. Oh, doesn't work. And that is normal because I want this to be lofted to another line or profile along the center line. I don't have another center line. I have to build it. So let's do that. So simply to keep my design here a little bit more organized, I'm going to go to here. Then I'm creating another path. Oh, I have no, another plane along this path. There. Okay. And I could go to here. Another sketch on this plane. Include this endpoint so I can snap to it. There. Go to a top view. Push this one out. 8.5. Click. And maybe, I don't know, should we say, no, let's say maybe 2 inches. And click. Good. And one more time here. 8.5. Click. And 2 inches. Click. There, 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 there. Right click, construct. And then you see again I have those 3 reference points. Click, click, click. Okay. Perfect. Stop. So you see now I use those lines for the distance and then these other lines simply for the height. Because this way, if you give somebody the computer model, just the surfaces, and then they have to figure out how you pre-measure everything, it's going to be a pain for them. And if you say, well, from this midpoint, make a line 8.5 inches, and then perpendicular 2 inches, do the same on the other side, then they can rebuild everything quite easily. And again, the way how I show all this would, for example, be exactly the same how I work in Revit. So then, oh, wait, we don't have to make another spline because we just did it. So we could go to loft and then say this, loft to this. But that's not the result we want. So I click on this center spline and here I say convert to center line. And there it is. Oh, beautiful. Okay. And maybe then I could say thicken this one, maybe by minus 0.5 inch. So you see I built the material up. Okay. Now seeing how, for example, I built this curve, maybe I don't really like how this one looks. So I'm going to select this point of my sketch, edit, and for example, move this line up. Let's see if this works. There, perfect. And you see, actually this other line, this one here, followed it because we made in the sketch for this connection, this line, we snapped to this one. So when this line gets moved, this point will follow it. So it's like an interactive wireframe model. So this is actually really very helpful. Okay, so there we have actually now our shell. And you see, that's kind of like a very easy process to build everything in a way so that you kind of like dimension your stuff, build your wireframe, and then later you build your shell over. In reverse, you could also have built the shell in the right height and then build your pipe material around it. Now there's basically maybe one thing we can try to fix. You see here, this part looks a little bit hinged, and that is because kind of like this arc gets bigger. You see here, this arc is a little bit smaller, and those two C's are run along this line. So here, where this point is, that curve is a little bit too small. So to prevent this pinching here, I either have to make this upper arc flatter, which I don't really want to do. So I'm simply going to go into edit mode here, click this one. Also, if you turn something on called curvature display, now this looks kind of crazy, but basically what this means is it tells you how quickly a curve changes the direction. You see, for example, the upper part, not really much, but then here it changes the direction quickly, then this red line gets flatter, and then at the end the curve bends quickly, which is why this one shoots out. So if I click on this one and I touch this handle, you can see how the curvature graph, for example, gets flatter. So I'm making the transition a little bit bigger. And you see I'm trying to rotate this a little bit there and maybe move this one a little bit to there, back. Okay, stop sketch and see. There you see now this is actually much better. Okay. Now maybe some last treatments. Here actually we have the shell from the original surface which we lofted. We don't need that anymore. So maybe I click the shell and delete. I'm not really deleting it totally, but you see inside the timeline it says I deleted that object. So I'm cleaning up my list of objects here. And then I could go to model, fillet, click this edge and this edge, this edge and the other edge there, and maybe, I don't know, half an inch. Let's see, I don't want to make it too big. Oh, no, that's too small, so maybe 2 inches. Oops, that's maybe too big. Okay. Let's see an inch if that one works. That works. Okay. Let's hide those sketches. Let's take a look at the result of our hard work. So that really looks like a nicely comfortable chair to sit on. Okay, and that's it.